All right, so I am going to begin. I want to give Jessica enough time to to tell her story and for us to have some questions at the end. So I would start with a brief introduction, and then we'll get going. So thank you everyone for joining. Um, I want to start with something really simple. Most of clinical research assumes that if a patient wants to join a trial, they'll find a way to do that. Um, today, you're going to hear from Jessica why that assumption fails. This is not just a patient story. This is a live case analysis of how enrollment breaks down before recruitment even begins. So today, I'm joined by Jessica, who brings both professional experience in healthcare and lived experience as a patient navigating a complex system. She has over 15 years working across various healthcare settings and is currently completing a healthcare administration externship with Insightful Intellect. Through her own health journey, she actively tried to access clinical research and encounters barriers that many patients face, but few systems track. I'm grateful she is willing to share that experience with us today, and I welcome her.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So let's begin. As you listen, I want you to track three things: where access breaks down, where trust erodes, and where the system silently exits motivated patients. All right. I'm grateful you're here and willing to share this with us. Um, you don't need to explain or defend anything, Jessica. Just
Okay.
tell us what happened. It's a
Okay.
safe space. Feel free to just tell us what happened.
Okay.
Um, so let's start at the beginning. Um, what was going on with your health before you ever thought about clinical trials?
What was happening with my health is I had my first child and I was experiencing a lot of fluctuation in weight and fatigue. And then I started experiencing pain in my shoulder where I had went to my first primary doctor and they discovered that I had or not Hashimoto's, but the hypothyroid disease. But through MRIs, she neglected to see that there was nodules. So she just kept pushing and pushing medication, and this one will work for you. This one will work for you. Finally, I changed doctors, and that doctor noticed that there were nodules. So I went through biopsies, and still at that point, they weren't giving me anything but we'll give you a titrated medication. This medication works for all patients, but it wasn't working for me. And they weren't giving me any other options to the point where I was concerned with my family history of cancer that letting this issue go would turn into something more that I couldn't control, to where I had to advocate for them to take my thyroid out.
Thank you so much, Jessica. So, um, you had to advocate for the thyroid. How were you able to do that? What was the
Um,
things you did?
it's it took a lot of being stern with the physician. He kept just wanting to put, one specific generic medication. And I said, that's not fixing the problem. Every time you go, it's either gotten a little bit bigger, you discover something else. I want this out. You don't understand. Like, I'm young, and I was young at the time, probably in my early 20s. Um, this needs to come out. And then finally, because I wouldn't give up, he agreed to it.
Was this the time that you decided to look for clinical trials? Was it in this
It's
instant?
it was in this instance, but it was more recently, because I've gone through so many. In the last 3 years, I was looking into clinical trials because even after the thyroid was taken out, then it was discovered I had Hashimoto's thyroid disease. And then they were checking like adrenal glands and stuff to make sure there wasn't anything else. And I kept saying, what other treatments are out there? Is there another treatment that is possible for me not to have all these titrated medications? Is there something that's more beneficial for me to use? But no one would give me any kind of, oh, well, there might be a clinical trial for you to be a part of. There's evidence that this works. That was never given to me. And so I had to kind of start looking on my own.
Um, can you share a little bit more about the experiences that you had? I know you told me that you had a lymph node. Was that all around the same time and all part of your health?
Yes, it was
Yeah,
it
so
was all
really,
around the same time. Okay, so
yeah,
I'll
so
I'll go
tell
in a
us the
little.
experience all the way up to
So
you
three
to the
about
clinical trial.
3 years ago, I had my last child, and my thyroid was all over the place again. And I'm asking, okay, what can we do? Because this is a problem. In the midst of that, I was discovered that I had an enlarged lymph node in my armpit. And so now I'm like, okay, I need to find an avenue because nobody is giving me anything. They want me to wait. They want me to be under observation. They're telling me I can have this medication, or they'll refer me out to a specialist, which there's always a gap in continuum of care. I have still not gotten those referrals. And that's been like 3 years now. So I started looking, okay, what trials are out there? Is there something that I might qualify for? Is there someone that can give me a better avenue for my care? I have 3 small children and it's just me, and I want to make sure that I'm in the best health possible for them. Um, but nothing. So I looked for, okay, what clinical trials are around? However, the issue that I found was either there's not a person who is talking to me directly. It's either like email based, or I'm getting text messages. There's not a lot of information. I was specific in what I was looking for, but I get trials for everything but the specifics, like the breast or thyroid. Everything else I get, but I know I won't qualify for those because it's not what I'm looking to participate in.
So you were having all these issues, and now you're like, there has to be something more, right? And so you decided to
Yes.
look for clinical trials. So what were you hoping for? Was it better care, more answers, something else? Exactly what
Better
were you hoping for?
care. I was looking for better care.
Okay.
Better care, how to improve my health, so I'm not in a worry state wondering, okay, in 6 months when I go back, are they going to give me the same answers? Am I going to have another gap of continuum of care? What's going to happen? Am I going to be in the same position? How it's sad because the disconnect is, why, as a patient, do I have to advocate so much for better health outcome?
Wow. Kudos to you for doing that, like for keep advocating, right? I want you to tell the story um, about the lymph node and the misdiagnosis that happened there.
Oh, okay. So, like I said, about 3 years ago when I had my last baby, it was discovered that I had an enlarged lymph node in my armpit. They began to do sonograms and mammograms. They refused to do a fine needle biopsy and said that they were going to just monitor it.
Mm.
In November, I went for my 6 month checkup, and they were looking in the wrong armpit. And they were like, oh, it's dissipated, it's gone, you're okay. And I kept saying, no, I'm not getting off this table because you're in the wrong place. It's not on my right side, it's on my left side. And the tech kept fighting with me and telling me that the notes say otherwise. And assured her, I go, I can tell you exactly where it is if you'll just give me the opportunity to point it out. And I pointed exactly where it was, and she's seen it. And the gasp and the look was just like,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
And
Wow.
then apologized for the mistake and said, we're happy that you're on top of your health, basically. And then
Wow.
continue to tell me I'll come back in 6 months so they can look at it again. But they hadn't been looking at it at all.
So, how did that experience affect your trust in the medical system?
I lost trust completely. I lost trust completely in the whole process because here I am. I put it away in the back of my head thinking, okay, I'm going to trust what they're saying. We can just monitor it. We'll keep an eye and it's going to be okay. Whatever comes, it'll be okay, but they'll catch it. But then when they were in the wrong area, how do you catch something that you're not even looking at? You're not paying attention to. And then all you offer me is, oh, I'm sorry. We'll
Wow.
see you in 6 months.
There's so much there. There's so much there. Uh, let's go to now that you know there's something going on and you have this background knowledge of the system. And so now when you're looking at the clinical trials, how did that relate to how you saw our clinical science trials or clinical research? Did it matter that it was your doctor and then the clinical research sides, or what? Just lead me through like your thoughts after those experiences and searching for a clinical trial.
After those experiences in searching for a clinical trial, I was hesitant too because of there's not that person that you're connecting with. There's not a person that you're talking to. It's basically like emails or, text messages. I don't even think I get phone calls. It's like emails and text messages. So I'm never talking to one person who can really just sit and listen to, okay, Jessica needs this, that, and this is what we have that we can offer. Let's try to get you there. I never, so I'm hesitant in that part because I don't know, okay, so if I choose this one, am I getting the right information? Is it the right place for me? The vague information that I get, am I going to talk to somebody? Am I going to go through the same experience where I'm just left wondering, basically,
Yeah.
is this?
So, can we dive a little bit deeper into what did you actually do once you were interested in the trials? Where did you look? How did you search?
I searched for local clinical trials near my location.
So was
A
that
lot of
Google?
through Google, yes, through
Google, okay.
Google, and the clinical research site comes up that shows active ones. A lot aren't specific to what I'm looking for, and they're very far.
Oh, so how far is very far?
Very far is like past Los Angeles, so about an hour and a half away from me. The closest one was a study on diabetes or mental health, which is right in Covina, which is 30 minutes away.
Hmm.
But again, those are things that I'm not looking for.
Yeah. So, did you ever find one that you were looking for?
I have not. I have
You haven't.
not.
Well, there's a
Yes,
lot of people on the line who
there
can help.
is.
Yes,
There
there is a lot.
is.
So let's pause right here. Tell us what you're looking for in a clinical trial. What are you hoping for? What
I'm
kinds are you
looking
looking for?
for improved health outcome. Anything that's going to give me that hope and trust again that I know someone on a research side is really dedicated towards improving health outcomes and cares about, improving overall well-being. Anything that's going to have me feel like, okay, like my health is getting better. I have a great opportunity for this treatment. It seems to be working, or it is working. This is
Mhm.
amazing. so I can advocate to other people as well, because I have a lot of people that have thyroid disease that I know or experiencing breast issues who have gone through the same things as I have, and they're in a, you know, loss as well.
Yeah. So, well, hopefully someone sees this or hear this and be like, "Oh yeah, we got a trial, and we'll we'll make it work." Um, but one of the things you mentioned is there were so many barriers that you mentioned. There weren't sites near you. They weren't having your studies, and talk also about your doctors. Did your doctors, before you went searching, did they ever offer you that option?
No, I actually in I was preparing for, I had to go do all my tests to do my externship for school. And I, at that point, was explaining to the doctor, the medication you have me on for my thyroid, it isn't, I'm tired. I shouldn't be tired after I take it. I should be able to function properly. And she got upset with me. I asked her, is there any other options? Do you have anything else? Is there anything you know of that would be, more beneficial for me? And she got upset and said that she could refer me to an endocrinologist and maybe they would have something for me. And I was like, oh, okay. And she never did. She never sent that referral.
Wow. So she was upset.
She was upset.
Wow, wow. So
She
we're
was very
seeing,
frustrated.
oh my goodness. Um, I wonder if she knows about clinical trials, but then
You know,
that's a clinical
it's
research.
the craziest thing is that organization is actually affiliated with one of the main hospitals who do clinical trials, and they're a teaching hospital as well. So it's interesting now, after I have a different aspect of clinical research doing my externship, that that is something that's not offered to patients.
So it's in a system that does clinical research, but your doctor doesn't offer you or doesn't even mention, like,
No,
when you're frustrated with the current care, it was like, maybe we can look into clinical research, or my system has a clinical research
yeah,
department, or you seem very excited about it, or you're looking for, let me help you. There was nothing like that.
no, nothing like that
Instead, there
ever.
was frustration and anger at you.
Frustration, anger, and a lapse in continuum of care because
Oh,
she
because you
just
didn't even get the referral.
I didn't get the referral.
Mm, okay.
Yes,
So,
definitely wrong doctor, but it seems like I've had a series of wrong doctors this far.
no. So if someone had helped you, like, maybe connect the dots, or, just someone reached out, would you participate? Would you have participated?
Definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of clinical research.
Hmm.
It's sounds scary, but I'm not. Like, what is there that will help me? What have, researchers found that has been beneficial, to other patients? I
Hmm.
want that too, but I can't get it if I don't have anyone who is willing to help me, advocate, that I can trust, um, that won't, just pushed me off into the dark and say basically, oh, no, 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 what we have for you is fine. You can have this one. I
Yeah.
just need somebody who's or or an organization that's willing to really listen and be a part of that process.
Right. So you need someone to meet you where you are,
Yeah,
basically. Yes,
yeah,
and
because
you're looking. So to be clear, you're still looking for a clinical
I'm
trial,
still looking.
and you're
I'm
still
still looking.
open to
Yes,
participating. Yes.
yes,
And you're searching, and you can't find
yes.
any.
And I can't
Okay.
find one.
Yes, and there are a lot of clinical trials out there, right? Clinical research
Yes,
and studies out there that are searching for patients like you.
right.
And so really, I mean, that you're doing the internship at my company, so you understand there from this side, like you are the patient, and you still cannot connect to the research that's out there looking for people.
Right, right. And you know what? I want to touch on Jennifer. She said many doctors don't participate because their systems do not incentivize them
Mhm.
participating, because hours away from regular care equals less dollars. But you know what's interesting is doctors should be practicing on evidence-based medicine. And how can they offer the best treatments if they refuse due to dollar signs?
True. Yeah,
just
exactly.
just because it makes patients as myself feel like we're just a number rather than a human being.
Yeah, thank you. Um, so have you heard of clinicaltrials.gov?
No.
You have not. And okay, so Heather mentioned check clinicaltrials.gov and search for your specific disease, and they
Okay,
will tell you where they are.
perfect. Thank you
Interesting.
so much,
Yeah.
Heather. I appreciate that. Perfect.
Interestingly, I'm wondering why it didn't show up in your Google search. In your Google search, right? You search for clinical trials near you.
Hmm.
Okay. I'm just taking note again of something that didn't, as someone who's searching for clinical trials in the US, that on, Google or anything like that, that this website didn't pop up because it's
It
one of the
didn't.
major.
The immediate one was like whatever partner is right here. It's
Okay.
like the top one.
Okay. Oh, cool. We have another question. Is there interest? Oh, they're asking you, Jessica, is there interest for consultants to introduce you to oncologists invested in phase 1 oncology trials? Um, no, because you don't have cancer, so
Yeah, no, we're still trying to determine what it is. And that's another thing. They wouldn't even continue with the sonogram to tell me because they, they didn't know clearly how much it had changed
so wow. So the lymph node, they had not been looking at it for over a year.
for over a year. And I can feel it. It hurts. It's visible. It's
Hmm.
gotten more visible since it was first discovered.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So I just want to empathize with you because to me it's in clinical research, we want to help people, and it's often emotional for me when people like you are looking for help and you keep coming up with barriers. Um, and really, my hope is through this webinar and through just talking about it more, that you get the help you need, or at least someone to listen and take a look, right? So I
Yes.
really, from the bottom of my heart, hope that happens. And I mean, I'll work with
Yeah.
you behind as much as I can, but
Thank
um,
you. I appreciate that. I
I
do.
just
I hope that as well, because it gets to be the point where you just want to throw your hands up and just say, well, I guess whatever they say, but then you can't give up on yourself either.
so you can't give up, right?
Yeah.
And okay, so okay, knowing what you know now, right? If a clinical trial had been available through your own doctor's office, what would you have done?
I would have participated. I would have
Hmm.
participated. If that would have been offered, I would have participated.
Yeah. So let me pause here, and just sort of bring us all back in and translate what just happened. Because
Okay.
this is the part that we never see. And I'm talking to my industry. So, Jessica, no one is tracking that you looked for a specific trial and you couldn't find one. No one tracked that, the logistics were you're too far, or, guidance, and like you're looking for someone to help you through this. Um, there was not a lack of interest, right? We don't know if there's a lack of eligibility, right?
Right.
There was not a lack of effort. but is that the system, this was a system with no layer for routing you or getting connected to you and route you to um, what you needed, right? Um, let's name some of the failures, just putting it all together, right? Um, you were searching for clinical research, right? Study, but you had no direction, right?
That's
Um,
correct.
in instances where there could be direction, there was geography, right? The distances. Your clinicians, the people that you trusted to help you, they were so disconnected from research, disconnected from study, and then their their care errors, right? Your trust was eroded, and they had no infrastructure to bring research to patients like you, right?
Right.
Um, And so this is sort of why I'm in the business. I am in this really to connect with people, right? And this is why not just advertising um, is not the only way that's going to fix enrollment, right? We're not even getting to you, okay? So what should exist instead? And I wanted to throw it out there to everyone that's listening. We're in this industry, so we know, and we've heard Jessica's story. What are some of the things that should exist? You can type in the chat or just unmute. Like, what are some of the things that could exist? And then I'll have Jessica answer.
This is Heather. So one of the things that, after listening to the story, so I see definitely the challenges, and just to give a little bit of background, I've been in the industry for 20 years and I oversee Nebraska and Maryland research sites. So number one, the one of the challenges we run into is lack of awareness, just like you said. But
Mhm.
the sponsors or the pharmaceutical companies, they only have a limited amount of sites they can choose. So it's being proactive to let people know where to find the trials. So that's the clinicaltrials.gov. Recently, within the last couple of years, I think they've redone it, so it's a little bit easier to search. Um, but the next thing with having the sponsors being able to provide some generic information about what they have to offer, and that becomes the cost issue. Many hospital organizations or doctor's offices don't participate. They don't have the time, or it's secondary to them. So it's having a good team that does the outreach for the people. So that's one of the challenges too, because in the industry is, burnout is big, and keeping people that want to be involved in research and spread the word. But a lot falls back on the sites, and not to mention keeping up with all the regulations for the investigators or the doctors. So that's why you don't get a lot of um, maybe doctor's office that participate. They don't have the manpower to do it, because a lot goes into just like regular office management. A lot goes into the clinical trial management behind the scenes that the doctors don't even know. So unless they have a team to back them up, they can't keep up on all the documentation, the regulations, the paperwork, the amendments that come through. So in the instance with her mentioning, unfortunately, the hospital system does research trials. Unless you're on that delegation log and know about it, they can't really share that information except for, hey, go talk with this, group, because they don't have the confidential information about the protocol, because they can't just share that out there. And that is one of the challenges. So how do we increase the awareness is just, finding the people within research that's willing to, you know, not not keep it more as a competition. So I said I'm in Omaha, Nebraska. We have big research sites here, but if we don't have anything, I'll definitely refer people over to check this website out. They might have something for you. So it's not about a competition, it's about awareness, and making sure that people refer to other locations, especially ones like, we do a variety of trials, but we don't do any oncology, right? So it's knowing where the professionals can refer. So if someone came to me, if she would come to me and say, "Hey, you have this?" No, but let me do a quick search and see what's out there, and then finding the avenue online. I did a couple years ago have the sponsor reach out to me because somebody reached out to them directly through their website, and they came back to me and said, "Hey, you're conducting this trial for us. Can you reach out?" Because we can't do it, but that's another avenue, is finding just the connections out there online. I mean, it is a lot of work because the trials are so hard to enroll, and I love the enthusiasm because we need more participants that want to participate, but sometimes that criteria is so hard, and it's challenging when people apply and they get denied and denied and denied, and then they give up. So that was a long-winded answer.
Hmm,
Thank you.
thank you for sharing. So, Jennifer, you type in the chat, clinical positions at non-research sites are needed to guide patients. A social workers trained in this. That's one of the things that can help. Deborah, you added My Tomorrow's Navigator can help patients find trials as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, I
Thank
took
you all
note of
for
those things too.
sharing. Yes. And so Jessica, know with hindsight, what are some of the things that you'd like changed or from your perspective?
Oh my gosh, there's so much. Heather just said that if you're not on that log within like the hospital, they're not going to share that information with you. The funny thing is I am on that log and I still don't get the information. So, things that I would like changed are, and I understand and have so much more appreciation for what you're trying to do, Dr. Brookins, at Insightful Intellect, because that human-centered approach is very important. It's very important. And I feel like if we had more sponsors out there that were dedicated to being involved, it would help more of the community and patients like myself build that trust and be able to know where to go. And I think that the disconnect also with applying, that scares me a little bit. Applying for something or for a trial and then being denied because of the criteria. I think another way to possibly bridge that gap is to really understand that criteria and understand if that patient's going to be able to apply for it or not, to save them that letdown.
Mhm. Yeah, so there's pre-screening that happens, right? And again, it's just one of those things, the complexity of the inclusion and exclusion criteria is, some patients you can right away see that they're not going to, like they don't pass this pre-screen, but others they get almost there and there's just this one number, the GFR, and liver
I see.
numbers
I
that
see.
just they just can't make it on. And that is also one of the sad parts and harder parts, as Heather said, right? So
I see.
um we are working like really in the perfect world. I would like a place where there is some flexibility a little more in those criterias. But then again, its cost is, paperwork, it's, regulations and things like that,
Right.
um, to really get, you know, on. I want to call it Mary. Are you there? So Mary has a story, and she tried a couple of times before she actually got on a trial. And so I think it was at least three times, right, Mary? You had to try before there was a trial that actually took you on. Just some encouragement for Jessica. You're unmute yourself? You're muted. Mary, you're muted.
It's early here. Sorry.
Okay, no, you're fine. Yeah. Just some encouragement for Jessica because you're a patient and you got in finally after a long time. So,
Yeah, so my cardiologist was the one who informed me about the clinical trial. I applied, to make a long story short, I applied twice. It was denied because the anatomy didn't fit the device. So basically that's it. I spent 2 years in hospice waiting for this. And my one of my pet peeves was the radio silence in between the denials. So I can relate to you, Jessica, in no follow-up, no communication, right? So
Right.
I get that. So from a patient's perspective, what I would suggest is to fire all your doctors and get new ones. I actually have a dream team, and it took me many years to develop, and it was through a interview process that I did with them. I'd schedule a consultation, which is usually free for your first visit, and I would have a series of questions to ask them. And depending on how they answered those questions was how I determined whether they were equipped to take care of me or not. And there were red flags all the time. And there's been many times I got up in the middle and just said, ended the meeting, the consultation. But you have to keep looking for doctors who, because they're out there. They're out there. And unfortunately, we don't hear too much about them. And so
That's true.
it takes patience to, advocate for ourselves, but for advocate for others too. Because there's many others that are feeling the same thing we're feeling and what we're going through.
I
Lived
completely
experience
agree.
is powerful and they need to pay attention. It's about damn time.
Yes, I agree. Thank you so much, Mary, for sharing that with me. I really appreciate it. And yes, I'd like to know your series of questions as well. I think that's what Jennifer just put in the chat. Um,
I don't have
yeah,
them handy, but I'll pass them over to Marlon and she can hand them off to you. I'm happy
all
to
okay,
right.
great.
share.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you.
Mary.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So as we got a couple of minutes still. So um if you recognize the story in your own trials, your sites, or your pipelines, you notice that this isn't a patient problem, right? What we're seeing here is a design problem. What we're seeing, the system isn't set up that way, and it's fixable. So I want to thank everyone for Jessica for being here first off and for sharing your story and for everyone here that participated. Thank you for being a part of this conversation because that's how we can effect change, and that by sharing our stories and connecting the researchers to the actual patients. So we're here to build a community. As we close, I wanted to ask if you have any questions. You can drop them in in the chat, and especially, I'm interested, especially in what surprised you. What surprised you about the story, about Jessica's story? Um, what surprised you? I can go first because I'm still surprised that you haven't gotten um, the referral, but most of that they were examining the wrong lymph node. And they haven't just update us on that. Where are you now with that? Have they checked it since?
No, they wouldn't. They refused to schedule me until April. They
Oh, they're
wanted
only doing 6 months.
They only wanted to do 6 months, even though I asked, what's been the change in it. But they couldn't tell me that because they haven't been monitoring it. What's the change? I know there's been a change because I can see it and feel it. But what's
Hmm.
the change? Can you do a biopsy? I'd like to move this process along. What are we doing? What are we doing? But I have to wait. So a couple more months to see what they'll tell me then.
Well, in the meantime, we have some great sites that you can look at. The American Thyroid
Yes.
Association. You can search there. We might be able to find you someone that can actually do you a pre-screen, because sometimes this pre-screen you might be able to get a lot more than than you're getting from your doctors. Apparently,
True,
you might
true.
actually get someone to look at you and look at the lump.
Maybe that would be
Even if
wonderful.
you,
And I,
yeah, even if you don't get on a study, but they'll actually
yeah.
look at you because they have to determine, the
Oh
criteria.
yeah,
So,
no. And I definitely appreciate everyone who has contributed resources to the chat. I appreciate that. I will look into every single one of them. And I hope that if something comes along and you think of me, please let me know what it is that you have for me so that way I can get the care that I need.
yeah. So go ahead and you can put your LinkedIn in the chat and everyone can connect with you that way.
Um,
Um, yeah,
Give me 1 second.
yeah, you're fine. Are there any questions? Any questions from the group?
Mm.
All right. Okay, well, thank you. Oh, was there a question? Have you asked for a patient advocate or reported the doctor for the mismanagement? Wow. Okay.
Um, Patient advocate, no, I have not. Um, I, to be honest, I haven't seen very many patient advocates, and I hear a lot within the community, even advocates that they have aren't as great. So that's like off my radar. The
Mm.
patients often that are people that I know or the community often say that they advocate better than any advocate for them. And as far as reporting for mismanagement, I have not. I feel like the details that go into that or the possible discrimination, even further for my health, is
Mm.
evident, um, especially with seeing that, my physician was very upset with me for asking for something more than her prescribing because I seen through it. She wanted to prescribe the medication. She didn't want to give her patient to anybody else or give me any better care, right? But for discrimination reasons or feeling like that I'm not going to get good healthcare or anything else. So I'm not now anyway, but if I'm not going to, it's going to further decline. I have not reported it. And it's very hard here in California with such an influx of patients and overflow in clinics and health organizations that it's hard to get into the doctor. You wait literally 6 months, 7 months, maybe even 9 months to get an initial visit. Oh, yes, I definitely should report that. Sure. That is correct. About the lymph node that they were not even watching. Thank you. Thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate all your questions and your resources. Let's see. Okay. Do we have any other questions? There's not any other questions. I just want to thank everyone for taking the time out of their day to come and listen to my story. I hope it gave you some insight from a patient standpoint, and I hope to hear from all of you, possibly in the future or near future, of things that might be available for me to improve my health. And I also thank you all for all the resources that you put in the chat today.